The apostolic trips of the Roman Pontiff are large-scale events venturing into different parts of the world where hundreds of thousands of people gather to welcome and greet the Holy Father. These encounters reinforce the life of the Church, they change hearts, and they mark new beginnings. In his next apostolic trip, Pope Francis will travel to Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia to mark the 100 years of statehood and to celebrate the Church's victory over the atheistic regimes that reigned there for 70 years. Discover with us the history, culture and life of these three Northern European nations located on the shores of the Baltic Sea. Overlooking Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, we see dozens of church towers and domes rising above the city skyline. Today, Lithuania is one of the most Christian states in Europe. 77% of its population are professed Catholics. However, the Kingdom of Lithuania was the last European nation to embrace Christ and to renounce its pagan heritage. The turning point was the martyrdom of some 14 Franciscans at the top of this hill. With their blood, the friars sowed the seeds of the church here, and the monument of the Hill of Three Crosses marks the beginnings of a new Christian era for Lithuania. Some years later, in 1387, the Grand Dukes Jogaila and Vytautas the Great proclaimed Lithuania a Christian kingdom. In the center of Vilnius, the Basilica of St. Stanislaus and Ladislaus hold the memory of the conversion and the relics of Grand Duke Vytautas and other Lithuanian saints. This is the chapel of St. Casimir Jagellon, the Grand Duke of Lithuania. St. Casimir lived a short but saintly life. He died at the age of 25 in 1484. Renowned for his generosity, piety and love for God and neighbor, he became the patron saint of Lithuania and its youth. A large group of young people will meet Pope Francis during the apostolic visit here, in Cathedral Square beside the relics of St. Casimir. For newly ordained priest Father Gabrielius, the upcoming meeting with Pope Francis is a sign of hope and a spiritual spring.
I hope that the visit of the Pope will bring for us new hope, that it will renew our faith in Jesus Christ, and that it will give for us impulse to live in ordinary life like real Christians. I believe that the example of Pope can bring it.
Well, the youth will be at the square for in total 5 hours. Basically, we're going to be waiting for Pope to come. It's going to be joyful, creative. Young people will dance, will pray together, sing together, and many different activities.
Christina says the organizers expect 50 to 20,000 young people for the event, most of whom will be coming from neighboring Russia, Poland, Belarus, and Ukraine. This will be the second apostolic trip to the country on record. Exactly 25 years ago, St. Pope John Paul II visited the Republic of Lithuania in September 1993, less than 2 years after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Archbishop of Vilnius, Gintaras Grušas, says Lithuania has changed dramatically over these 25 years. The country has since entered the European Union, experienced rapid economic growth, and re-established the Catholic Church after 70 years of state atheism.
We have now established a network of catechetical centers, religion being taught in schools, a regular marriage preparation program with family centers, youth centers, and pastoral activity at a university level. A lot of new churches being built and new life for the church in general. So it's been a very dramatic 25 years.
But modern lifestyles and economic growth are presenting the church with new challenges, such as secularism, individualism, and growing materialism.
We have a very large emigration over the last 25 years. The population has decreased by 25%, so we went from somewhere about 3.7 million to 2.7 million.
The faith of the Lithuanian people endures and is strengthened by the Catholic heritage around them. Their devotion can be seen every morning at the Chapel of the Gate of Dawn under the tender gaze of Our Lady of Mercy. At 8:30 sharp, the townspeople gather here to pray the ancient Eastern prayer called the atheistic. The flow of pilgrims is endless. This prayer gathers Catholic and Orthodox faithful together. Many pilgrims come with their petitions and others to give thanks. Once you visit Our Lady of Mercy, you leave your heart here.
So this is one of the oldest and most important pilgrimage place in Lithuania and actually in all the region. The icon of Our Lady of the Gate of Dawn was painted in the early 17th century. In 1927, this famous, already miraculous image was adorned by crowns blessed by Pope Pius XI. Then Pope Pius XI gave this title, Our Lady of Mercy.
And it was also an image very much beloved by Pope John Paul II. When was elected Pope, went to the chapel of that image in St. Peter's Basilica, and there prayed for his papacy.
The image is also connected with another famous saint that had a special devotion to Our Lady of Mercy. Saint Faustina Kowalska was a young Polish nun born at the beginning of the 20th century. She's known for her mystic visions of Jesus, whereby she was directed to create the image of divine mercy and prayer, known as the Divine Mercy Chaplet. Although there is a renowned shrine of Divine Mercy in Krakow, Poland, the most significant apparitions happened here in Vilnius. To discover the incredible story of Faustina Kowalska and Divine Mercy revelations, we joined a pilgrim group to walk the way of mercy. This pilgrimage route finishes at the convent house where Saint Faustina received the words of the Divine Chaplet prayer, and in order to create an icon of Divine Mercy.
We are in St. Faustina's house, and in most important place in the house, in place where lived St. Faustina. And in this place, Sister Faustina had many meetings with Jesus, many visions of Jesus. In this place, she began to write her diary. In this place, Jesus dictated for St. Faustina a chaplet of Divine Mercy. Was here in Vilnius, Sister Faustina met Father Sopochka.
Father Sopochko was Faustina's spiritual director. He carefully examined her visions and believed that they were truly coming from Jesus. Father Sopochko commissioned the Lithuanian painter, Eugeniusz Kazimierowski, to paint the image that Jesus himself had requested from Saint Faustina. This chapel used to be the painter's studio. Right here, in absolute secrecy, under strict supervision by Saint Faustina, the image was completed in 1934.
That strong tie with The image of Divine Mercy and the Mother of Mercy chapel continues to this day, marking Vilnius very much as a city of mercy.
I invite you to come here in Vilnius to touch that message, to touch that experience of the Divine Mercy, to get it and to bring to all the world.
In a few moments, we'll be back with more on Vaticano. More on Vaticano begins now. These green Latvian woods and calm waters were known in medieval times as the State of Livonia, an autonomous branch of the powerful Order of Teutonic Knights. At the Fourth Lateran Council in 1215, Pope Innocent III dedicated Livonia to the Virgin Mary and named it Terra Mariana, the Earth of Mary. Over the years, devotion to Our Lady continued to grow in Latvia, despite the Protestant Reformation and 70 years of state-sponsored atheism.
And in 2015 we celebrated 800 years of Terra Mariana. It's something particular because in our litany to the Holy Virgin Mary, at the end properly is this invocation that the Queen of Terra Mariana pray for us.
For more than 300 years, thousands of Latvians have passed through these woods to venerate their queen, Our Lady of Aglona. Roads are scrupulously being prepared to welcome the most important pilgrim of this year, Pope Francis. The Queen of Latvia is venerated in one of the biggest Marian shrines in Europe, some 160 miles east of the capital Riga, in the picturesque Latgale region, which has historically been the Catholic stronghold of the country. Inside the basilica, we meet the rector of the shrine, Father Daumans Abrikis.
We can say that the story of the shrine began when the landowners Das Borg invited the Dominican fathers here. It was at the beginning of the 18th century. They came from Lithuania and founded a community here in this place in Aglona, between the lakes. They chose this place to build the first wooden church. They also brought an icon of the Virgin Mary from Lithuania. This image is a copy of the icon of Our Lady Trakai. And this image they put at the center of the new church in Aglona.
The Dominicans were well known for their preaching, their beautiful liturgies, and the popularization of the Holy Rosary, an icon of Our Lady that soon became highly revered by Latvians. The reports of miracles connected to the shrine started shortly after its founding, and over the years many sick people have been cured. Pilgrims come here to breathe the fresh forest air, drink the miraculous water from the spring, and entrust their cherished dreams and prayers to the Virgin Mary.
However, we do not have the apparitions of the Virgin Mary as in other countries. Here, people simply feel the special presence of the Lord in this place, and every year more and more people are coming here.
Yes, the veneration of the Holy Virgin Mary is extremely strong in Latvia. In some sense, I can say that Aglona is the spiritual heart of Latvia. "25 years ago, Pope John Paul II visited Latvia. And in that moment, Latvia passed from Soviet system to independency. We were under transformation, and we needed encouragement to pass to this freedom and how to manage this freedom, yes, in right manner.
Located at the crossroads of Europe, Latvia has become a country where the three main branches of Christianity, Lutherans, Catholics and Orthodox, live in peace and brotherhood. During its 800-year history, everyone from German knights to Swedish kings to Russian rulers have left their footprints here, helping shape the city of Riga into a jewel of the Baltics. Every month, the leaders of the main Christian denominations meet at the Catholic Cathedral, the Basilica of St. James, for an ecumenical prayer.
It's crucial because each of these three main confessions, Christian confessions, we are too small in number to have great influence in society.
And we have been working together on many things for decades now. The Archbishop Metropolitan Zbigniew Stankiewicz is my friend since some 30 years, when he was a young engineer and I was a young teacher of chemistry. We were friends already. So Latvian Christian community is rather small, maybe. We meet and we work and we pray together. And this is what we mostly do, and we try to benefit from the dialogues which are conducted on the global level.
Precisely this very message of unity, reconciliation and collaboration will be addressed by Pope Francis at the Lutheran Riga Dome Cathedral in the city. The Riga Dome is dedicated to the Blessed Virgin Mary, a rather strange title with it being a Lutheran church. The truth is that the cathedral was built by the Catholic Teutonic Knights at the beginning of the 13th century under Bishop Albert, and subsequently it fell into the hands of the Protestants after the Lutheran Reformation. At the center of the cathedral there's a stone font which, according to tradition, Saint Adalbert used to baptize the first Christians of Latvia. His holy relics are resting on the left wall behind the main altar.
I think that Pope's visit, first of all for us Lutherans, serves to remind the general public about the presence of Church and the sovereignty of God.
The unity of the Church is very important, and the collaboration, ecumenical collaboration, is important. I am sure that it will be present in Pope's speech.
In a few moments we'll be back with more on Vaticano. More on Vaticano begins now. Situated on the southern coast of the Baltic Sea, on the shore of the Gulf of Finland, Tallinn, the capital city of Estonia, is piercing the sky with the sharp steeples and spires of its churches and castles. Tallinn inherited this formidable and majestic appearance from both the strong medieval Teutonic Knights and the Brothers of the Sword. Together, along with their culture, they brought the Catholic faith to the Estonians. In subsequent years, the Protestant Reformation and Soviet state atheism dramatically altered Catholic identity in Estonia, making it one of the least religious countries in the world that Pope Francis will have visited.
Yeah, I think that Estonia needs a papal visit. From the logical point of view, it's not very logical for the logic of the numbers, I would say, of Catholics. But at least I remember that once the Pope said that I would like to visit small countries and countries who have suffered a lot. And I think that in that sense, Estonia is certainly a good choice. And then, of course, I think that if we compare, for instance, with Latvia or with Lithuania, where there are a strong Catholic tradition, the visit of the Pope in Estonia is more a challenge.
Estonia is a country where roughly 75% of the population claim to be irreligious. After the fall of the Soviet Union, Estonia experienced sudden economic growth, freedom, and a revival of the Catholic Church. Exactly 25 years ago, Pope John Paul II witnessed this reawakening when he visited Estonia.
When the Pope John Paul II came, he said in Estonia what he said in many countries. He said, "Non abbiate paura," and don't be afraid. Because it was the time of, let's say, new things, of course. The Estonian government, the Estonian state was awakening. And at the same time, there was a feeling also in the whole world of great ideals, ideal of universal peace, of European unity. And so now, 25 years later, what you see that our society is much stronger, much more stable, but it lacks perhaps those ideals. So what we need is that our heart would wake up again.
And "Wake Up My Heart" is precisely the motto of Pope Francis's apostolic trip to Estonia. The visit is going to be short but very rich in events. The Pope is going to meet with young people at the Lutheran Cathedral, celebrate Mass at Freedom Square, and hold a meeting with church charity workers at the Catholic Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul. Bishop Eduard Profitlich, who was consecrated Archbishop in 1936 and worked at the Cathedral of St. Peter and Paul, was the first Catholic bishop in Estonia since the Reformation. This memorial plaque was blessed by St. John Paul II when he visited Estonia, and soon after, a cause for beatification was opened.
It was in June 1941 when, during the night, communists came just next to the cathedral when he had his apartment. They arrested him. During this very tragic moment, the Bishop Profitlich asked to be the last moment at church, really to be here next to the tabernacle and to pray. And later on, of course, he was arrested and brought to the Kirov in Russia, where he died in 1942.
Margit says that the majority of the local work has been completed for the cause of beatification, and the process is now at the Vatican awaiting approval. Bishop Profitlich is one of many Baltic Christian martyrs who, with their own blood, have renewed Christianity in the Baltics.
Here, people have experienced this reality, the communism, the martyrdom. During the Soviet period, all the believers, Catholics, Lutherans, Protestants, majority there are Lutherans in this area, and Orthodox, they were suffering together. He has created a relation that you cannot find in other countries. It's a very particular, friendly, fraternal collaboration relation among the churches, with the particularity that we find also among the Lutherans, an approach that is, I have never seen in other countries, these Lutherans, so Catholic Lutherans, as we can so, that are so close to the church.
The Lutheran Church of St. Carl will host the meeting between the Pope and young people. Father Votsislav is working in Tallinn in a youth ministry and says that this meeting will be a great opportunity for young people to learn more about the Catholic Church.
I hope very much that this visit has a significant impact
So this visit gives us a very good opportunity to teach them more about the Pope, about his role he plays in the Church. I heard from some young people that's their dream to meet with the Pope, to have a chance to be very close to him. And a young boy, he said, that's my dream, to serve at the Mass with the Pope.
This atheism, so-called atheism in Estonia, or secularism, this is something that is often mentioned when people talk about the presence of church in Estonian society. But the church and the religious institutions still have their function in society as an educational institution, as a kind of a cultural heritage. So in a way, you know, church and religion is present and is constituting at least some backgrounds of Estonian culture.
For the Baltic States, it's an extraordinary event for them. It's not only the particularity that there will be 25 years after the visit of Pope St. John Paul II. Now it's 25 years after the Holy Father came here to renew this strength to these people, these countries who are, after 25 years, they have grown and they have enjoyed their freedom. They know what it means to be free, with all the consequences, the positive and the negative.
Pope Francis will conclude his apostolic visit to the Baltic states by celebrating Mass at Freedom Square in Tallinn, marking the 100 years of statehood of these small countries and providing a fresh start for the Catholic Church.